you stay by the coast, you're not going to make it unless you're in a tall, strong building. You got to get out. That's what it is.
Get out now. This is the message from Florida officials tonight. Millions are racing to heed that warning as Milton, a dangerous Category 5 storm, grows in size. I'm Ellison Barber in for Gadi Schwartz, and this is Stay Tuned Now. Florida officials say this is the last full day to evacuate areas in the path of Hurricane Milton. One of those areas is Tampa, and if Milton stays on course, it'll be the most powerful hurricane to hit that city in more than a century. Tampa's mayor, Jane Castor, understands how serious this is. Listen.
I can say without any dramatization whatsoever, if you choose to stay in one of those evacuation areas, you're going to die.
And for the most part, people seem to be taking the warning seriously. Many who rode out Helene just 2 weeks ago are now deciding to leave for this storm.
When you hear the words life-threatening storm surge, and then you see all the damage Helene did, I mean, what is it? The most deadly hurricane since Katrina, right? And then this storm, Cat 5, tight eye wall, I mean, vocabulary I've not heard before, barreling towards us. It's not looking good.
Access points to barrier islands off the southwest coast of Florida are already closed. There will be no way back in until this storm passes. On top of all of that, people are still trying to remove or at least secure debris left over from Helene. Milton could bring storm surge as high as 15 feet to some areas. That is enough to easily submerge the entire first floor of most homes. Tornadoes and destructive winds will also be a major risk. While Milton is technically expected the weekend before landfall, that doesn't mean it's less dangerous because it's gotten bigger. It's already the strongest hurricane this year so far and the strongest in the Gulf of Mexico since 2005. It underwent a 95-mile-per-hour increase in strength in just 24 hours. And it only took 18 hours for it to go from a Category 1 hurricane to Category 5. Overnight, the storm grew yet again in size. This is a look at the monster storm from the International Space Station. Watch what happens as hurricane hunters fly directly into Milton as they work around the clock to try and gather data.
I'm gonna grab my phone real quick.
We have team coverage tonight. NBC's Dana Griffin and Jay Gray are both in Florida, but we're going to begin with NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns. Bill, talk to us about where things stand right now. I mean, watching that video, it's harrowing to see hurricane hunters in the middle of all of it. They're doing it so the rest of us can heed the advice from people like you. What do we need to know right now?
Yeah, I think first we can thank them for the data we get because we know how strong these storms are because of them flying through the center. There's one out here right now. I mean, we're looking at this beast of a storm, one of the strongest that you'll ever see in the Gulf of Mexico, and there's a crew on a plane that's zigzagging and flying all through this to let us know how strong it's going to be when it gets to us, and also it puts that information into our computer models so we get better information of how strong it's going to get or where it's going to go. So thank you to them. Now, this is a beast, and we want to know 24 hours from now where it's going to be and how strong it's still going to get. The intensity forecast has not changed. Hurricane Center is still saying it's going to decrease in intensity to a Category 3. We have our fingers crossed. We are counting on wind shear, which is where the jets fly, stronger up-level winds to kind of knock the thunderstorms off, and that should weaken the circulation. If that doesn't happen, then we're going to deal with a beast of a storm making landfall tomorrow night. We're counting on it. All of our computers say it's going to happen. Fingers crossed. But we always say prepare for one category worse, which would be a Category 4, and that would be devastating. And, 3 is not much less. If we get lucky, maybe it's a 2. But at this point, that's, that would be really lucky. So we had it going through Tampa. Now it's down to Sarasota. This would be at 2 a.m. Landfall roughly right around 3 a.m. and then moving across the peninsula pretty quickly in less than about 12 hours. About 10 to 12 hours it's going to take for the storm to make landfall and then to exit the Florida coast. We should know a pretty good idea about noon Thursday just how bad the damage was. And our computer models, we're still going to get these in every 6 hours. You'll notice they're all south of Tampa. The cone still includes Tampa, but all of our computer forecasts, the different variables, are all south. The black line is the official forecast. You notice there's 3 north of that, so that still could, if it went to the north side here, take Tampa through that northern eye wall. You may not get the storm surge, but you still could deal with 100-mile-per-hour wind gusts, which will leave a mark. And then south of here is where we would have all of the horrific storm surge. And of course, you know, immediately pops out, yeah, we got Fort Myers involved in this mess again. Cape Coral, beautiful Sanibel Island. I mentioned these areas because that's where Ian just devastated with a 14-foot storm surge only 2 years ago. Things are just starting to be rebuilt. They're not even close to back to where they were. And then north of here, Venice to Sarasota, Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda, those are all the areas we're going to talk about potentially tomorrow night at this time as the storm surge begins to arrive. And the official forecast still does have Tampa in that 10 to 15, but it's looking mostly south of that unless we get another wobbler change and that forecast goes north. The latest forecast, this would be 3 a.m. There's Sarasota. There's the eye. That would be what the Hurricane Center is saying for landfall. And at this point, the storm surge would be rushing in and devastating the areas from Siesta Key southwards here to Venice Beach. So that's with the current forecast as we have it. And of course, there's other things too. We're going to have wind problems. We're going to have storm surge. Of course, tornadoes, inland flooding, everything you get with a storm like this. It's sad.
Yeah, it really is. All right, Bill Cairns, thank you as always. We appreciate you being here and your work to try and help people stay safe. Let's turn now to NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin. She is in Naples, Florida again tonight. Dana, you were here yesterday. Are you starting to see any differences? Notice anything in the winds there? What are you hearing from people in that community?
Ellison, no change in the wind quite yet, but definitely in the waves behind us. We actually saw dozens of people back out here at the beach trying to take advantage of those waves. We've seen families walking up and down. When you talk about officials taking this seriously, we've heard warnings from not only the Naples mayor, we've also had law enforcement show up here at the beach just within the last several minutes, warning people that it's time to leave. They got to leave the beach because it's closed. It's been closed since Monday, but people have still been coming out here. And when it comes to the storm surge that Bill mentioned, Naples is also in that area where we could get some of that storm surge flooding here. And so the mayor of Naples is reminding people to evacuate and to take this storm seriously. Listen to why.
Even with Ian, we weren't in the threat zone, and then all of a sudden we were getting a direct hit. So as far as I'm concerned, these storms are unpredictable. So don't think that just it can't take a quick turn, and we need to be prepared for that.
And you see that pier in that video with the mayor. This is the Naples Beach pier that was destroyed during Hurricane Ian in 2022, and it hasn't been repaired yet. There are efforts to try to get that done, but it just shows how long it can take to get things back up and running and to get things repaired even years after these hurricanes roll through. Ellison?
Dana, do you get the sense that most people in that community are making the decision to leave, or do they feel like they should just ride this one out?
It's a mixed bag. I think for the people in the evacuation zones A and B, that's along the coast, and then also that flood-prone area, they have left. They are taking this very seriously, but we have talked to so many people that have come down to this beach. They are either farther inland or at a higher elevation. They are riding out the storm. They are prepared. They've gone to the store. They've got their essentials. They do have a backup plan in case they need to leave. But as we get closer and closer to Milton making landfall, that's going to be a lot harder. So hopefully everyone is staying safe. But I think for the most part, there is a lot of fear and anxiety just because of what happened in 2022 and also with Helene and just like the intensity of these storms. And we've been reporting on it extensively. And I think people are listening to that and they're realizing that this is very serious. Ellison?
All right. Dana Griffin in Naples, thank you for being there. You and your team stay safe. We appreciate it. Yeah. We're going to turn now to NBC News correspondent Jay Gray. He's about 40 miles north in the city of Fort Myers. Jay, same question to you. Talk to us about how evacuations are going or appear to be going. When you talk to people in that community, are they saying, OK, we're going to leave for this one or stay?
I think a lot of people have, to be real frank. We're in the downtown area, a lot of restaurants, a lot of bars here. It's empty. I mean, you see an occasional car, an occasional couple walking by, but for the most part, everyone is gone here. Before they left, they did make sure that they prepared for this storm. So you've got the sandbags, you've got the boards, you've even got a buoy behind us there wrapped around this entire restaurant. That's a bladder filled with water to block any of the water coming in. So they're using water to hopefully block the water. As this storm continues to inch toward the south a bit, we're inching more toward the middle of the path, which is not good news for this area. And you guys talked about it briefly, but they're still reeling. Helene 2 weeks ago, yes, and there are mounds of debris and things that can become projectiles when the wind picks up here sometime late tomorrow. But they're also still recovering from Ian 2 years ago. That storm devastated this area. A lot of people still building back, still trying to figure out where they go next. And now you've got what is likely going to be the most powerful of those three storms prepared to move through this area in not days, but hours.
And Jay, when you talk about this debris that has been sort of left behind, do you get the sense that most of it has been secured to make it somewhat safer or maybe less destructive in the area? Or is that going to be a big worry that could just be flying all around?
No, I think it's going to be a huge worry. Look, the city did what they could over the last couple of days. They really rushed to try and pick up as much as they can. But I can tell you, and we were on Fort Myers Beach earlier before coming to the downtown area here, and there are still mountains, literally, of debris. We're talking 2 stories, 3 stories high of things stacked up there. And so that's a huge concern for a lot of people. And one of the primary reasons that they have people evacuating from these areas, obviously, they're trying to get to higher ground because of the water. But there's also that severe wind that's going to push through, and it's going to lift everything from wood and metal to even small screws or nails, which could be really bad for people if they were in the area. And so that's something a lot of people are very concerned about. They've worked hard to try and clean up what they can. But the time for those preparations, the time for pulling away that debris, for getting ready for this storm, just about over at this point.
All right, Jay Gray in Fort Myers, thank you. We're going to turn now to the mayor of Fort Myers, Florida, Kevin Anderson. He is going to join us now. Mayor, we appreciate your time tonight. I'm actually going to pause for a second. There he is. Okay, I wanted to make sure we had you before I got really into it. It's nice to see your face, Mayor Anderson. I hate that it's under such difficult conditions for you and your communities, but let's just start with where are things right now? What is your most urgent message to residents at this moment, those who have evacuated, and maybe, though it seems like most have heeded the warnings, the few that may still remain in Fort Myers and that area?
So what I would say is kudos to those of you who have evacuated. For those who haven't, it's getting a little bit too late to do so. The roads are starting to get jammed. Gas is going to become a problem. I just hope that people who have stayed understand once those winds get up to 40 miles an hour, they're on their own. We will not, our emergency personnel or police or fire or EMS, they will not be able to respond to calls for service. So I hope those who are staying have prepared themselves to ride this storm.
And Mayor, if people are staying and they're maybe hearing you now and they think, okay, wait, actually, maybe we've made the wrong choice, we should go ahead and try to leave. Is that the advice? I mean, is there still a window where they can get out if they want to try and deal with that traffic and at least move a little more inland? Or is it past the point of being able to evacuate?
They're going to be challenged if they want to leave the area, but there are plenty of shelters available, and I would suggest that at least they get to a shelter.
And information on shelters, that is online, I imagine, at your city website. Could you remind us where that is located if people need help finding it?
Both on the www.cityfortmyers.com or leagueof.com. Both of those will have information about the shelters.
And in this moment where you and your administration is of just preparing, trying to keep your citizens safe, also protect as much structure as you can, have you been able to look ahead to what you're going to do in the days and weeks after? I mean, how much help do you think Fort Myers or other parts of Florida are going to need after this storm? How could it compare to what we've seen with Helene?
So let me say this. I've been here since the mid-70s, 40 some years. I was on the police department for almost 25 years, have dealt with a lot of storms. Ian was by far the worst. But I'll tell you, I do not have a good feeling about this storm. I have a very bad feeling. So it's hard to tell what we're going to need afterwards. But I can assure the people of the area that your city is prepared to respond as soon as the storm passes.
We have heard some mayors of other cities saying really point blank, if you're not leaving, you could be dead. Do you think that is how serious the stakes are for people who are in areas where they've been told to evacuate? Is it a leave, or we might be having to recover your body?
I'm afraid that with the projected storm surge, people who stay behind have put themselves at risk, and there's a very possibility for loss of life.
All right, Mayor, we hope that doesn't happen, that your residents are listening to the advice of officials like yourself and getting out of there. We wish you and your community the best in the days ahead. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hurricane Milton, it exploded from a Category 1 storm into a Category 5 in just a matter of hours. The reason for this rapid intensification, well, it appears to be climate change, and it is likely a disturbing trend when it comes to future hurricane seasons. And who better to talk about the effects of climate change than the science guy himself, Bill Nye. Bill, thank you so much for joining us, as always. I would love to, if I can, just have you sort of pick up where the mayor left off. I mean, he says he has been through this again and again, never seen anything like this storm. I feel like we hear that from people in hurricane-prone areas a lot. We know things can be bad. We're used to hurricanes, but not like these. Talk to us about the science here. How do we know this is definitely an issue? Helene, and now this, related to climate change, that we are, yes, we've always had hurricanes, but it is different now in the intensity and the speed they're developing, and that is directly related to climate change, right?
Yeah, because it's the temperature of the sea surface. They're in the Atlantic to the east of Florida and in the Gulf of Mexico on the west side of Florida. These temperatures are much higher than they've been in recorded history for a number of weeks, more than ever. And so these storms are consistent with the predictions when you run the computer models associated with having a very warm sea surface. Plus, this storm is coming from the southwest and going toward the northeast instead of from, for example, the southeast going to the northwest. And so it's taking advantage, or rather, it is being affected by the loop current. There's a Florida current, and then there's a loop current that spins off it. And these two bodies of water moving are contributing to the transfer of heat into this system. So the deal is, when the ocean is warm, cool air, and the word cool, relatively cool air, squeezes the warm air up. The warm air goes up, it expands, and it falls back down. And when it's doing that on such an enormous area that we have with this storm, Milton, it starts to spin. And this is because of the spin of Earth and gravity. The combination of these two forces causes the thing to spin. All right, here's why it's so deadly, everybody, is the wind speed. The wind speed, the force of wind or moving air goes as the square of the speed. So if you increase the speed 10%, you increase the force 20%, and you increase the power, which is the energy being carried by the velocity, by the speed. It goes as the cube of the wind speed. So you increase the wind speed a little bit and it becomes increasingly destructive. And you know, this category 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this is based on the wind speed and on civil engineering assessments of how much damage it does. For many years, engineers went back and looked at how the buildings were knocked down, and that helped influence and create this category system that we use now. And in a recent publication by the National Academy of Sciences, it's been proposed that there will soon be a Category 6. And people argue that Category 6 storms have already occurred on the open ocean.
When you're talking about these different forces, from the sort of steam, I guess, if I could describe it as that comes off of these warmer waters, to just the way the Earth is moving, the gravity, all of those factors, are we also seeing those things impact and cause more issues in other weather-related events beyond just hurricanes?
Well, when you see the thing about hurricane, when it gets big enough to start to spin, when this thing, the Coriolis force, starts making it spin, then along with its southwest to northeast motion, it's got these wind speeds that are extraordinary, and they fetch up water on the sea surface and create this so-called storm surge. And the low pressure associated with the storm causes the ocean to rush in or be drawn in to this low pressure area under the storm. And these three things combine to make it the most dangerous thing is generally the storm surge, these enormous high water events that knock buildings down. And of course, if you can't get out of the way, it's hard to stay afloat. And as people have said, when the winds get this high, everything becomes a projectile, a missile, and you cannot see it coming. You cannot get out of the way. And so that's why everybody's trying to get people to evacuate. Now, I'll just say one more thing. Allison, do we have a moment?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Everybody, if you have young people in your family or your extended family, people you know, just try to get them to vote, okay? I have worked very hard for many years to be political and not partisan. Like trying to evaluate the science and let's make decisions based on the science. But right now we have one political party who is aggressively ignoring the warming ocean, the rising ocean, the size and frequency of these storms. And that is not in anybody's best interest. So we'll get through this, and I wish everybody the best. Our hearts go out to you all. I mean, you've been through this over and over, and we will support you, of course. But the action to take in the next month or so is to vote with the climate in mind. Thank you.
All right, Bill Nye, thank you. We appreciate your time and insights as always. You are a national treasure, to say the least, and we appreciate you being here, especially in difficult times like this. Thank you.
These are difficult times. Be very careful, everybody, and take the emergency services advice.
All right. Bill, thank you. And don't go anywhere at home, because we are just getting started here on Stay Tuned. Up next, the political storm as Milton barrels towards Florida. There are debates surrounding which areas of the state should receive federal funding. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez navigates those murky waters in just a moment. Plus, states are suing TikTok. More than a dozen AGs are suing the social media giant over the mental health of kids. We'll break down that case. And it is Fat Bear Week. Fat Bear Week. The bears of Katmai National Park, they are packing on the pounds ahead of hibernation, and we really love to see it. Of course, the internet is lit with videos and pictures of them just like chowing down and being bears. So that is later in this hour in tonight's edition of Stay Wild.
The accessibility of watching truly wild animals, and not in a zoo sense, I think connects people to it, but also just how awesome bears are.
Welcome back. Here are some of the headlines we're watching tonight. A Ring camera caught the moment a house exploded into pieces in Long Beach, California. One man was hurt in the blast, and neighbors say the explosion damaged other homes on the street. What caused it is still under investigation. New Jersey-based water company American Water says they have paused billing and customer service following a cyber attack. American Water is the largest regulated water utility company in the United States. The company says they are cooperating with law enforcement, and customers will not face any late charges while its systems are down. President Biden is setting a 10-year deadline for cities across the country to replace their lead pipes. The EPA estimates the new rule will prevent nearly 1 million infants from having low birth weight and avoid up to 1,500 premature deaths a year from heart disease. And last night, the FDA approved the first over-the-counter COVID and flu test outside of emergency use. The new combo test uses a nasal swab, and it delivers at-home results for both viruses in about 15 minutes. The FDA says the test is for anyone experiencing respiratory symptoms. And the New York Jets have fired head coach Robert Saleh. The news comes just 2 days after the Jets' 23-17 loss in London against the Vikings. Saleh spent over 3 seasons as the Jets' head coach and never pulled off a winning record. Defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich will be the team's interim head coach. As the U.S. braces for another hurricane landfall, officials say false theories are undermining relief efforts from the last storm and preparations for the next one.
There are rumors that we don't have enough resources. That could not be further from the truth.
This is the time in every storm where rumors start. You might start to hear or see funny things on social media. I would encourage you to verify those things with trusted outlets.
I've heard rumors that if you take our $750 and don't pay it back, we're going to take your home. Absolutely false.
Officials across the board, from local officials in Florida to federal officials, clearly fed up. I mean, FEMA, they've even launched a rumor response website. It launched this week. It fact-checks claims that the agency is running out of money, blocking evacuations, and even turning away volunteers. The U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, on MSNBC earlier today said the rumors are causing real harm.
Individuals lose trust in their government. They are reluctant to seek the assistance that they need to meet their immediate demands: food, water, shelter. They don't seek it. They are entitled to it. They need it.
Now, with 4 weeks until Election Day, there's also a growing political storm brewing over the federal hurricane response, with the White House trying to fight what it calls rampant misinformation. Here's NBC senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez.
Tonight, in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene and with Hurricane Milton barreling towards Florida, President Biden is calling misinformation about the federal response un-American.
It puts people in circumstances where they panic, where they really worry. They think now they're not being taken care of.
Former President Trump and some of his allies keep spreading false claims.
For one thing, $1 billion was stolen from FEMA. They were using illegal migrants.
That's not true. FEMA has distributed more than $1 billion to shelter migrants, but the agency says that's from a separate government program, not disaster relief. Trump also falsely claims residents are only being offered $750, even though they can qualify for more.
He really lacks empathy on a very basic level to care about the suffering of other people.
On social media, even more outlandish conspiracy theories are exploding, from false claims of FEMA stealing money from donations to the government controlling the weather from Antarctica.
The amount of misinformation just continues to grow unnecessarily. And it's just really creating an interference for us to be able to do the job that we need to do. It prevents them from actually coming in and asking for help.
But we also pressed the FEMA administrator about criticism of the federal response.
The administration was slow to get started. We're only beginning to see that mobilize about a week too late.
Including from Helene survivors.
I hear them say on the radio that FEMA's here, but I haven't seen them.
What do you say to people like her?
I think the best thing that I would say to this is just because you don't see a person wearing a FEMA shirt does not mean that we're not here.
In Florida, there's another political storm brewing between Governor Ron DeSantis and Vice President Kamala Harris. A source familiar with the situation tells NBC News he's refused to take her calls.
It's just utterly irresponsible, and it is selfish.
Overnight, DeSantis fired back, saying he did not know she'd called, adding he's spoken with President Biden and Harris has no role in the process.
She's the first one who's trying to politicize the storm, and she's doing that just because of her campaign.
Meanwhile, a White House official tells us they're preparing to fight misinformation ahead of this latest storm, calling the false rumors the worst they've seen.
And Gabe Gutierrez joins us now from the White House. Gabe, when it comes to hurricanes and elections, what comes to mind for you from a historical perspective? Talk to us about the precedent, if there is one, for a storm this big, this close to Election Day.
Oh, hi there, Allison. Well, this storm is massive. There have been other storms that have hit right before an election. One that comes to mind is Superstorm Sandy back in 2012. Of course, that was that iconic image of Governor Chris Christie greeting former President Obama at the time. Christie took some flack for it later on, but Obama's response to that disaster, to Sandy, was generally well received, and it is seen as a contributing factor to his reelection back in 2012. Now, Ellison, another major storm, Category 5. I remember this one growing up in South Florida. It was Hurricane Andrew back in 1992. Now, the federal response to that storm was not seen as particularly robust by then-president at the time, George H.W. Bush. He, of course, lost re-election to Bill Clinton, and that may have played a role. But the big difference right now, Ellison, the rise in social media, and as we were just reporting, that rise in misinformation, a White House official telling me that the Biden administration is preparing to see more misinformation and fight it ahead of this latest storm. Again, they're trying to fight this, but it could ramp up as the storm hits over the next few days, Allison.
Gabe Gutierrez at the White House. Thank you. On the campaign trail, a shift in strategy. One of the biggest criticisms facing Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign has been her lack of media availability, something the campaign appears to be addressing. Today alone, she sat down for 3 interviews with national audiences. NBC's Garrett Haake has the latest.
Tonight, in her ongoing media blitz, Vice President Harris telling ABC she wouldn't change anything President Biden did.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Later saying she would name a Republican to her cabinet. Former President Trump slamming the response, calling it, quote, her dumbest answer so far, and Biden the worst president in history. While on CBS, Harris was pressed about her record on the border.
Was it a mistake to loosen the immigration policies as much as you did?
It's a long-standing problem, and solutions are at hand. And from day one, literally, we have been offering solutions.
But the numbers did quadruple.
And the numbers today, because of what we have done, we have cut the flow of illegal immigration by half.
New data obtained by NBC News shows there were 54,000 illegal border crossings last month, the lowest number in 3 years. Meanwhile, Washington Post reporter Bob Woodward writes in a new book that former President Trump secretly sent Russian President Putin COVID tests for his personal use in 2020. Please don't tell anybody you sent these to me, Woodward says Putin told Trump. I don't care, Trump replied, fine. Woodward citing an unnamed aide who claims Trump may have spoken to Putin as many as 7 times since leaving the White House. NBC News has not confirmed Woodward's reporting. The Trump campaign responding in part, quote, none of these made-up stories by Bob Woodward are true. Harris slamming Trump today.
Everybody was scrambling to get these kits, the tests. This guy who is president of the United States is sending them to Russia, to a murderous dictator for his personal use?
All right, Garrett Haake, thank you for that. Coming up, taking a turn. We are going to take a turn because what's driving some women to use driverless car services, it might surprise you. Their concerns and how drivers advocates are firing back. That story is coming up in tonight's Future of Everything. But first, you've got to see this. Just like human residents of Florida, the scaly, slimy, and webbed need to leave their homes ahead of a hurricane, too. The Florida Aquarium is moving some of their animals to higher ground, including these penguins. The waddling cuties are only going up a few floors from their first floor home, where they will wait out the storm. Good reminder for all of us. These little guys, they need to stay safe. You do, too. We'll be right back. It's rare to find these days, but today, a moment of bipartisanship. 14 attorneys general spanning both parties suing TikTok. They allege the social media giant is knowingly harming the mental health of young people. The suit says the app is designed to be addictive, encourages dangerous behavior, and collects data of minors without parental consent. Here's how California's AG broke it down.
They specifically prey on young people's vulnerabilities, their developing brains. They have an algorithm that's designed to suck our kids in and keep them on as long as possible. And unfortunately, tragically, it's working.
A spokesperson for TikTok responding with a statement writing in part, quote, "We strongly disagree with these claims, many of which we believe to be inaccurate and misleading." Let's bring in NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung with more. Brian, thank you for joining us. Walk us through the allegations here. What are the grounds that these 14 AGs say they have to actually bring this lawsuit forward?
Yeah, Allison, and this is pretty remarkable when you mention, again, these are both red and blue states ranging from New York to Mississippi to California, whose AG you just heard from. It also includes D.C., by the way. But what they're alleging here is twofold. One, that TikTok is addictive. In some cases, some of these AGs have actually compared TikTok to cigarettes, saying that the algorithm is essentially digital nicotine that's designed to addict children to the algorithm and, in some cases, to potentially harmful content like those that might promote subway surfing or challenges to steal vehicles, which could be deadly as well. What they also allege on the second part of this is that there aren't proper safeguards in place for parents to clamp down on the types of content that TikTok users are able to see. That in some cases, like, for example, a 60-minute limitation, yes, that does exist on the app, but once you hit that 60-minute limit, all you have to do is key in a passcode, which you already know in order to unlock your phone to access unlimited scrolling after that. So what we've heard from the AGs is that TikTok needs to do more. In the case of California, they say they're asking for millions of dollars. But I also spoke with New York Attorney General Tish James, who said that the tools that TikTok has offered is not enough. Take a listen.
So the tools that they have oftentimes are difficult. They're hidden. Parents cannot activate those tools. TikTok has engaged in a pattern practice of deception, of lies, and unfortunately, as a result, has addicted an entire generation of young people and teens who consume their product for a long period of time. And that's basically their objective.
And as you mentioned, TikTok has responded by saying that these claims are inaccurate and misleading in their view. They say that they provide robust safeguards and actually add that they tried to work with the attorneys general for over 2 years to resolve these issues and that they were disappointed this went to court. But a lot of questions over where this goes. And as you know, Allison, these court proceedings can take quite a long time.
Yeah, so, Brian, what are they hoping to achieve with this lawsuit? And remind viewers, TikTok's been in the news a lot. This is unrelated to what we've seen happening on Capitol Hill, right?
Yeah, and it's not even the most recent that we've seen in the month of October. Just last week, the state of Texas, again, also a red state, said that they sued TikTok for sharing minors' personal data in violation of what they say is a state law on parental consent. Not only is there things at the state level, but there's also at the federal level. The Department of Justice just in August had a lawsuit against TikTok alleging violations of the COPPA Act. It's essentially privacy laws that protect children. So that's also working its way through the legal system as well. But Ellison, what's really interesting about all of this is that, yes, you could talk about monetary punitive settlements in these cases that could result in a lot of money for these states and for the federal government. But all of this will be moot in terms of the bigger picture and usage of TikTok if there is a ban on TikTok. We have to remember that in April, President Biden signed into law a bipartisan measure that would force the sale of TikTok from its Chinese owner ByteDance within 12 months. That was signed in April of this year. That means that essentially through the spring of next year, it's possible if there is not a sale from that Chinese company, TikTok will not exist in this country any longer. It's certainly a story we'll have to follow.
All right, Brian Chung, thank you as always. We appreciate it. Still ahead, Israel launches an intense assault on southern Lebanon. What we're learning about the targets as one U.S. leader's trip to the region is put on hold. Our Richard Engel reports from the ground in Lebanon right after this. Welcome back. Let's take a quick look around the world. South Korea's defense minister claims North Korean troops could join Russian forces in Ukraine. Making this possible is a military alliance agreement signed between the two countries earlier this year. However, South Korean officials, they have corroborated reports from Ukraine that say North Korean soldiers have already been killed in the war. A British spy chief warns Russia is planning, quote, mayhem on UK streets. The MI5 director saying Britain is facing threats from Vladimir Putin's henchmen. It comes as terrorism investigations are on the rise there, including threats from groups like Al-Qaeda and ISIS, who the director says are newly resurgent. And the EU is trying to resolve content disputes on major platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Officials are trying to figure out new ways to appeal content moderation, which could ultimately set a new precedent for content creators, granting them greater protections in the future. And a 22-year-old French man set a world record for death diving off a 144-foot cliff in Spain on Monday. This diver, he said that he was prepared for the jump in advance, but the height, it turned out to be even more daunting than he expected. This intense, belly flop style of diving really turns your stomach. All right, now to what has become a regional war in the Middle East. As Israel expands its invasion into southern Lebanon, NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel reports tonight from Beirut.
Israel is delivering Hezbollah crushing blows. Today, new video shows Israeli troops raising the Israeli flag in a southern Lebanese village. Although the Israeli military has yet to confirm it, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today claimed an Israeli strike killed Hezbollah's successor, chosen to replace Hassan Nasrallah, assassinated by Israel just days before.
Hezbollah is weaker than it's been for many, many years.
Riding high, the Biden administration worries Netanyahu could retaliate against Iran's recent missile barrage without fully coordinating with the U.S. Tonight, the Israeli defense minister's planned visit to the U.S., set for tomorrow, was postponed. President Biden has said he does not support striking Iran's nuclear facilities. An Israeli attack on Iran's oil industry could drive up gas prices ahead of November's election. Vice President Harris weighed in on 60 Minutes.
Which foreign country do you consider to be our greatest adversary?
I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran. Iran has American blood on their hands.
Here in Beirut, evacuations are picking up pace. 10 U.S. charter flights, including today, have so far taken out 1,000 Americans, and hundreds more have left on commercial flights. There's an urgency to get them out.
Richard Engel, thank you. Tensions rising once again on the Korean peninsula after North Korean leader Kim Jong-Un threatened to use the country's nuclear weapons against both the United States and South Korea. NBC News chief international correspondent Keir Simmons has more about the growing threat.
With world attention focused on the Middle East and fears of further escalation between Iran with its nuclear program and nuclear-armed Israel, the rhetoric from North Korea's Kim Jong-un is getting less international attention. This week, he repeated a warning. If South Korea used armed forces against his country, North Korea would, without hesitation, use all its attack capabilities. And he said the use of nuclear weapons is not ruled out, though he later said, "We have no intention of attacking South Korea." This week saw a massive annual military parade in South Korea, including a U.S. bomber, where South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol vowed the end of the North Korean regime if it ever used a nuclear weapon. So, add the Korean Peninsula to the global list of problems in the next president's in-tray. The two candidates offering very different approaches.
I got along very well. North Korea, Kim Jong-un, I got along very well with him. He'd like to see me back, too. I think he misses me, if you want to know the truth.
I will not cozy up to tyrants and dictators like Kim Jong-un who are rooting for Trump.
Increasing the complexity, many burning international issues are interwoven. In Ukraine, it's now highly likely that North Korean soldiers are fighting for Russia, South Korea's defense minister says. Kim Jong-un wished President Putin a happy birthday this week, a friendship both sides have had reason to celebrate. During the Russian leader's visit in June, they signed a comprehensive strategic partnership. The US suspects that means sharing more weapons and perhaps even nuclear secrets.
We continue to be incredibly concerned by the expanding security relationship between North Korea and Russia, both for the support that North Korea continues to provide to Russia to prosecute its illegal war against Ukraine, and for the prospect of Russia assisting North Korea in ways that ultimately will be destabilizing to the Korean Peninsula.
Kim's confidence is growing. Last month, he was pictured visiting centrifuges that can produce fuel for nuclear bombs. Last year, he brought his daughter to inspect missiles.
This is my honor.
The years when Kim Jong-Un was prepared to meet with President Trump and perhaps negotiate are a memory now. The next president may have to deal with a very different North Korea. Keir Simmons, NBC News.
The driverless cab company Waymo operates in just 3 cities right now. But it turns out in Phoenix, Los Angeles, and San Francisco, their rides are popular among women in particular. The reasons, it's not just about trying out the new technology, but near the top of the list, people say being able to avoid interactions that make them feel unsafe. NBC's David Ingram explains.
23-year-old Abby Vigil was headed to work when she says her conversation with a rideshare driver took a turn.
There was this guy that kept saying that I was like going to be the perfect girlfriend for him. It's okay if you're not interested, but like, I know where you live and I know where you work.
The incident, one of many unnerving experiences that have left Vigil wary of Ubers and Lyfts. Now she's part of a growing number of women embracing the autonomous taxi service Waymo to avoid any potential menacing drivers.
It takes out the pressure of like a male in the car with you, always wanting something out of the interaction.
Some women tell NBC News they prefer Waymo because they don't have to share an enclosed space with an unfamiliar driver, 3/4 of whom are men. Reported violence in Ubers and Lyfts is rare. The companies say safety violations, which include fatal crashes or physical or sexual assaults, occur in just 1 in every 500,000 rides. But some women say those figures, which are reviewed by outside experts, still don't quell their fears. They're worried about behavior that doesn't show up in company-issued transparency reports, such as unwelcome flirting.
I didn't report that situation. I know a lot of people don't report the situations that they experience, so I don't really think there's like data attached to these things actually happening.
But self-driving cars are not without risks. A video posted to TikTok shows this terrifying moment as a group of people block a Waymo with passengers inside, covering it with graffiti and damaging the car. Or this incident, in which police say a man disrupted a Waymo ride, then assaulted the passenger inside, sending him to the hospital. In a statement to NBC News, Waymo said it takes situations like these, quote, very seriously, but that they're, quote, exceedingly rare. And Waymo cars have sometimes led their passengers into unsafe situations. This video from over the summer, showing a Waymo car turning the wrong way into oncoming traffic. In response, Waymo saying in part, we continuously refine our system's performance to navigate complex scenarios while prioritizing community safety. Jason Munderloh, a San Francisco Lyft driver and pro-driver organizer, says these situations show the importance of human drivers.
We've seen Waymo rides where harassment happens. It happens from outside of the car, but you're stuck without a driver, without another person with you that might be able to handle the situation.
He says he understands women's concerns, but maintains that most drivers are respectful, and that many drivers face the risk of losing their livelihoods over false complaints from disgruntled riders.
Seasoned, excellent, respectful drivers get deactivated from the platform because of these complaints that are often spurious. And unfortunately, the level of investigation done by Uber or Lyft is inadequate.
Those incidents highlighting just how important passenger safety is to the future of self-driving cars and rideshare services. Lyft tells NBC News it's trying to improve safety with driver background checks, rating systems, and an emergency number for passengers. Separately, Uber telling NBC News it's using safety features like GPS tracking and a 911 button in its app. But Uber is also exploring the promise of driverless cars, announcing a partnership with 12 autonomous technology companies, including Waymo, which has plans to expand across the country. For now, Abby Vigil will be sticking to Waymo.
It has offered a way to just be with your girlfriends and be safe from that like male gaze that's always in so many situations.
The convenience of a private ride with a little more peace of mind.
Our thanks to David Ingram for that report. All right, finally tonight, the competition has been fierce and only 2 bears remain. We are talking about Fat Bear Week. Fat Bear Week, that is the viral March Madness style competition where people from around the world pick who they think is the biggest bear at Alaska's Katmai National Park. This right here, pay attention because it is a live look at Brooks River. This is where these brown bears have been feasting on salmon all summer long. Hibernation is just a few short weeks away. Keep watching it. You might see a little bear pop up, a chunky bear, we hope. But NBC's Steve Patterson, he has a look at the race to become the fattest bear in all the land.
Through the roaring waters of Brooks Falls, these Alaska brown bears are packing on the pounds. Like heavyweight boxers bulking up for a weigh-in, gorging on sockeye salmon, making massive gains to go round for round before the long winter, nearly doubling their body weight. Animal lovers from around the world can watch the action via high-quality webcams and vote for their faves in a March Madness-style bracket. Last year, 1.3 million people cast ballots, a massive increase over 10 years ago.
The accessibility of watching truly wild animals and not in a zoo sense, I think, connects people to it, but also just how awesome bears are.
And they are awesome. Like heavyweight grazer, last year's Fat Bear champ, a mama grizz weighing in around 1,000 pounds. Wildlife guide John Kuiper has a front row seat at the river's edge.
Every time I get to see one's a good day.
Katmai National Park gets fewer than 20,000 visitors annually, and it can only be reached by boat or seaplane. So Fat Bear Week, a collab between Katmai and the National Park Service, is a way for everyone to learn about preserving this critical bear habitat.
They rely so heavily on the salmon runs to add enough weight for the hibernation season. There would be no Fat Bear Week without the salmon run.
And this year, John's all in for Chunk, this massive alpha bear of the falls, easily recognizable with a signature scar in his face.
He was bigger than anything I'd seen before.
Even carving out a special chunk on his own arm for him.
People think it was awesome. People feel a lot stronger in their obligation to protect something if they feel a connection to it. And I think that's part of the really important things that this week does is connect people to the wild so that they have a desire to keep it wild.
The final bell is about to ring on this heavyweight bout, and a champion will be crowned. But all will be ready for winter.
And believe it or not, we are down to our final 2 competitors, Grazer and Chunk, with polls now closing. I believe within the hour soon, we will know who the top bear in Brooks Falls is. My money's on Chunk. Back to you.
Woo-wee. Steve, I'm rooting for Chunk as well. I hope Grazer does a good job and has fun, but we're rooting for Chunk over here. All right, that does it for us tonight. I'm Ellison Barber. We're going to see you tomorrow, but until then, stay tuned now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.